I was thought, oh well, let's see how if Tom gets more views without me than he does with me. No, we get quite a few. We get quite a few views on these. Obviously, I think yours are the ones you do with the Wolves are probably more not consistent, but people will know if you continuously do them.
Yeah,
they know when to expect them. Whereas these, we just seem to make them up as we go along.
Exactly. I did put a tweet out, and I saw that you tweeted as well. I'm just tweeting out now as well, live now with a quiz. But yeah, I have noticed quite an uptake in interest in my channel again now that it's just Wolves. So this is the acid test now to see if people are genuinely interested in these kind of content. It doesn't matter. Oh, hang on, the microphone's not even in front of me. That's why nobody's watching. People can't hear me. Right then, so it's going to be a bit of a quiz this evening. It's going to be the chance for you to pit your knowledge against ours. Anybody watching? There isn't at the minute. And then we'll so it's just a quiz of January, and depending on how long this lockdown goes on for, perhaps there could be 12 of these.
Well, considering that when we did the quiz for Christmas, for the Christmas period, people were asking then, do more. And that was the case of, we were like, right, well, we'll do one at the end of, the start of the month for the previous month. That was the idea that we came up with. Matthew Paul has commented, Tom, but it's amazing that we've got no viewers and he's managed to comment on it. So there must be something with the link that you do.
Delay.
Yeah,
must be a delay. 4 people watching on YouTube now, actually. So there are people watching. So good evening to everybody who is watching. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the quiz. Get a pen.
Yeah, get a pen. Just as I've got BBC Sport up. Keeping an eye on the scores, because obviously last night, we'll probably talk about this on the podcast tomorrow, it was goals galore. There was frantic scenes left, right and centre. The Wolves match, obviously, with 2 sending off, and then Southampton as well with the same. So it's 1-0. Burnley are losing 1-0 to Man City already 5 minutes in. So I'll keep an eye on that as well.
There's been a couple of coincidences through the season where I think Man United have scored 6, and then Liverpool have matched it the same game week, and then they scored 7. That was matched the same game week. So Liverpool playing Brighton today, maybe.
Yeah, quarter past 8.
So get your money on 9-0 to Liverpool.
There we are. Tom's
don't want to. 9-0. I mean, people will laugh, but it might happen. Right, let's. Good evening to Brum Wolf as well, who's joined us. So, save it to for the actual podcast on Thursday, because the first question that we've got in the quiz is related to everybody's favourite sport, it would seem, NFL.
Yes, Tom's new
there's a little bit of
sport.
There's a little bit of a story behind this as well, isn't there? Before the question.
Well, I was going to say a story behind it. It's just we realised afterwards, after we wrote the question, or I'd found the questions, because we both haven't got a clue to the answers, that there was a character cap. So we've had to. So this one isn't too bad, but later on it might be a case of it. The question on screen might not make sense, but we'll read out the actual full length question. So the question is: Tom Brady has reached yet another Super Bowl. By the time the game is played between Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kansas City Chiefs, which is at next weekend, and Tom's already made his predictions of who will win that. You have to listen to last week or tomorrow. But the question is what percentage of Super Bowls have featured Brady? Now, Tom, I'm going to let you speak because you are the resident NFL expert.
Well, just to disappoint people, because there are a couple of people. There's certainly one person in the chat who's saying that it's their second favourite sport.
I haven't got a clue about it. I've never. I've sat through a couple of Super Bowls in the past, but it's not my thing at all. But I do know Tom Brady. He's a name that I know, and I know that he's a very good player. So did you say before the game on next Sunday, or
by the time the game? Once the game has been played, so once the game starts, how many will he have played? So including next weekend's game.
Now there was a good evening, Caru Cloren.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is? That seems like it might be somebody that you know.
No, they'll have to give it. It's this. I think this is the conundrum because they keep commenting, and neither of us know who it is.
And they only need to watch these ones. They don't watch the Wolves ones that I do. So
okay,
Billy. But right, so there was a milestone Super Bowl either last year or the year before, wasn't it? I think it was at the 60th Super Bowl.
I think there's been. Yeah, I think it's around 60 now. I'd guess. Okay. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think it is around that figure. I know it's over 50. I would definitely between 50 and 60.
Okay. If you know in the chat, how many Super Bowls have there been? I would, if we're guessing that there's I think it was 60. I might be wrong, but then, so 6 is not an unreasonable amount of Super Bowls to play in, is it? Or is it?
No, especially for Tom Brady. I think going off, as you know, his previous team. Yeah, I thought I would have said 55, Matthew.
Okay,
that would have been my guess. But there's. I would say easily 6 that he's played in, considering the team that he's played for. Tom was your favorite team,
New England Patriots.
Yeah, and they were regular features in the final in the Super Bowl. So we have got multiple choice for this, but we are going to try and not use those. But what I will do for this one is, if you are, because there's 4 possible, I will obviously look at the one which is the closest, if that makes sense.
All right. So I was thinking about 10%. Now, so because he said 55, then I think it must be 11%, and that he's got to 5 Super Bowl.
So this will be his 5th.
This will be his 5th. Yeah, I think that's reasonable as well. So we've already played in 4, and then to play 5th.
Yeah, 11%. Yeah, I think it's going to be higher.
Do you? Okay.
Just because they've won.
He's old as well, and he's like 40.
He's quite old.
I never realised.
Quarterbacks play for quite a long time. So I'll look at the possible. So the possible answers we've got, Tom, are 6%, 12%, 18%, or 25%. So I would say 18%. It would be a rough sort of guess to play in, not to win, because they've won quite a few. Are you happy with 12?
I'll stick with 12, yeah.
Okay, so 18%.
Oh, no way.
He's played in 10. Will have played in 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, of course, Matthew. All the help. You can answer as well.
Yeah, please. I've just highlighted the wrong thing there. Oh, we have got some people watching. They've all just appeared now on the platform that we're using. But
just so you know, anyone who is commenting, we've only got it up on. We can only see the YouTube comments. So if you are watching on wherever else Tom has put it up, we won't see them until after, because of the amount of technology going on, and I don't want to hear myself speak again.
Okay, let's move on to question number 2 then. This one you will need to read the rest of the question out, because it starts with the end of the question here. So help us out, Billy.
Okay, so Yannick Bestaven won the Vendée Globe Round the World Sailing Race last month. He was declared the winner of the solo race with a time of 80 days, 3 hours and 44 minutes and 46 seconds. However, Bestaven was not the first sailor to reach the finish line. What happened?
Right. I don't know anything about this story. So have you seen the story?
I saw on the news earlier about some chap sailing. I don't know if it was the same guy because I know he was speaking about rowing. So I think this was a rowing one, whereas I think Yannick Bestaven, it was a sailing boat, and he was talking about he was starting to lose his, because he was the only person rowing. He was starting to think that someone else was rowing the boat in the middle of the night, and he'd wake up in a panic, not knowing where he was, and then realize where he was. And so yeah, it's I don't think it's him. There are options, Tom. I haven't looked at them yet, but if anyone in the chat has heard of Bestaven.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need some options here. I think.
Yeah. So the sailor who finished first had taken a shortcut, bypassing Australia. The sailor who finished first had snuck his partner onto the boat, so was disqualified as it was a solo race. Bestaven had set off 10 days later than the other competitors due to a COVID scare. So by that I mean he started afterwards, so everyone else had finished, and then he obviously finished after them. After Bestaven reached the finish line, he was reimbursed 10 hours of time that he'd used rescuing a fellow competitor whose boat had sunk.
Just to highlight a comment there from Matthew Paul, he's more boring than playing 5 at the back. Okay, so
basically, to sum up, someone took a shortcut. Yeah. Someone had some hanky-panky on board a boat and was disqualified. COVID, or he saved someone's life. They're the four options.
It's the kind of thing that would be. It's probably going to be COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go that he had someone else on board with him. I think the other person had someone on board with him.
Panky,
but yeah, I'll go for
indeed Panky.
Yeah, I'll go for COVID. We were both wrong, Tom.
Oh dear.
It was he saved someone else's life and was compensated 10 hours and 15 minutes by the international jury for his role in the search and rescue of Kevin Oskova.
Very good. Katie F. Wolverley got it. Got the right answer. Very good.
Well done.
Numero 3. So the Copa Libertadores, your favourite competition, Billy. It was a very memorable final last year that we watched together. No, did we watch it together or?
Oh, I don't know if we watched it as in person together, but I think we watched. I think we were watching it at the same time. Did you watch it this time, Tom?
No, I didn't.
I would probably argue, especially the ending to this final was was definitely memorable. Even on, I would put it on Aguero levels. They scored the winners scored in the 98th minute.
Oh wow!
Of stoppage time. There'd been an injury to
the 98th minute of stoppage time.
No, 98th minutes of normal time, so in stoppage time rather than extra time, because there'd been a player gone down injured, so they added on 8 minutes, and it was literally the last, similar to Aguero, the last kick of the game. Yeah. And as Brazilians go, they obviously go crazy with the celebrations, but there was no fans, unfortunately, so it was. It wasn't as memorable as it could have been. So which two teams, Tom, contested the Copa Libertadores? Which two cities?
So I don't know. Did you just let slip that they were both Brazilian?
They are Brazilian.
Okay, I can see that. Somebody in the chat has said Sao Paulo and Rio, so I'm tempted to go with them. I don't know. I'm sure one of them was Santos, although I might be wrong. You will know if you've watched the game. So
I know. I know the teams and I know the cities as a result.
Yeah,
of the teams.
I don't know. I'll go for Sao Paulo and Rio though, but I don't know.
It's you were right, Tom. It was Santos, which is a city.
Oh, is it?
So you should have gone with. So Palmeiras, the team that I support from Brazil. They went on and won the.
I remember you saying that it was your team, but then
it was my team. Whereas last year we watched it because I can't remember why we watched it last year, or it might have been the year before.
It might have been the year before actually.
With Boca and River Plate.
So that was the year before. That was in 2008.
Yeah.
2000. What year are we in now?
We're in 2021, so 2019.
Yeah, so the game I remember watching, I don't think was River Plate and Boca. It was against. It was a team in red who won, and they scored. It was very much like the '99 Champions League final. There were 2 goals.
In quick
the team was losing for pretty much the whole game, and then they scored 2 goals right at the very end to win it.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was a sub that came on and scored as well. I'll have to double check, but it was a very memorable game. But somebody's calling you out, Billy. Santos apparently are from Sao Paulo. Is that?
Well, the answers were, the options were Buenos Aires and Bogota, Medellin and Montevideo, Sao Paulo and Santos, and Lima and La Plata. So going off the options,
I've just typed it into Google, and it says that it's an Australian energy pioneer. So you're both wrong. Okay. The next question, we're going to need some explaining as well, because it says which team was the slowest to find the net. This is
okay.
Premier League, so people will be comfortable to join in.
Yeah. So of all 20 Premier League teams. Also, all 20 Premier League teams have scored at least 1 goal in the league in 2021. So every one of the teams has scored this calendar year. But which team was the slowest to find the net? So I'm guessing which team was the last team to score.
Yeah. So I think I know the answer to this. Because I know that Liverpool hadn't scored when Joe Biden was inaugurated, because there was a meme going around that's saying America have scored more goals. America have had more presidents than
Liverpool have scored goals.
Liverpool have scored goals, which would mean that they've scored 1. So they might have. I see the chat is a pain in it, because now I'm thinking, maybe I think Sheffield United have scored, but they've lost. Liverpool drew a couple of games and then lost a game. So I'm going to go for Liverpool.
Liverpool would have been my guess. Just because they had that massive streak.
Yeah.
It was, we're right, Tom. After beating Crystal Palace 7-0 at the end of December, Liverpool went 482 minutes and had 93 shots without scoring a goal in the Premier League. Their run came to an end when Roberto Firmino gave them lead against Tottenham. So yes, we've done well there, Tom.
They're going to win 9-0 tonight.
Yeah, as you've already said. Update on the scores, Tom. Leicester are beating Fulham 1-0. I don't know the goal scorers. I just know the scorelines.
It's interesting as a Wolves fan, because at the weekend when Everton were playing against Newcastle, I found myself cheering for Newcastle because, like, in my head, it's ingrained that Wolves and Everton are going for like the top 7 kind of places. But actually, on at the weekend, I think they played before us, and they then I looked at the league table, and like Newcastle had gone 1 point behind us. So then I thought, oh, hang on, I need to change who I'm cheering for now in these kind of games. But now we've won last night. I think we're at 7 points off the top 7 or something like that, and so it's really, really weird because no other games really matter to us at all anymore. So
yeah. You are. I've just got the table up here, Tom. You are 7 points off Everton and Chelsea, who are in 8th and 7th, respectfully. But you have played 2 games more than Everton and 1 game more than Chelsea, because we play Tottenham tomorrow, and Everton are currently playing. No, they're not. Everton play at 7:30. So yeah. Anyway, next question, Tom.
So the next one.
Now, Jurgen Klopp's favourite question, I think it is, because that's where it's come from. So Jurgen Klopp at the start of the year was making a lot of noise about the number of penalties Man United had been awarded this year. But what we want to know, what we have to try and figure out is which club has scored the most penalties in the history of the Premier League.
Have you got an idea, Billy? Who did you say?
Well, looking at the chat, we've got Sheffield United, West Brom, Southampton. I think that might be from the previous question, though. It's got to be. It's going to be one of the mainstays, obviously. Your Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool,
Everton,
Arsenal. One of those. Everton, maybe. But I think it's going to be Liverpool. I think it's just going to be the irony of it is that Liverpool have been awarded more penalties, than any other club.
I will go for Man United purely just to be
spiteful.
Yeah,
cool.
Or Chelsea.
It is Liverpool. They've recorded 160 penalties since the Premier League began in 1992.
No way.
I haven't got the rest of the statistics. In terms
it will be interesting to see if there's somebody in the chat who would be so kind as to work out the percentage of Liverpool's goals that have come from penalties in the Premier League era. I'd have a lot of respect. A lot of respect if somebody used to go and do that.
There you are. That's the challenge. True fan ball out there.
It would be. Right, so name the top 4 clubs of the WSL, Women's Super League, at the end of January. And I felt terrible when I saw this question because I don't know. I think Man City are doing well. I think Man City are. I'm sure. Actually, hang on a minute. I think it's pretty similar to what the actual Premier League is. I think there was one point a couple of weeks ago when they were identical. I might be wrong in that. So I'm going to go for City, United, Liverpool, Spurs. Are they in 4th at the minute?
So I've had to look this up, so I'm not going to answer this because the question. So the Tottenham are in the Women's Super League, yes, but I'm not going to tell you if they're in the.
Okay, I'm going to stick with that then because I think there was a side by side the other day that was like, that they were pretty similar. I might be wrong with that, but yeah. So I'll go for.
I'm going to tell you you're very wrong, Tom. Purely because Liverpool aren't in the Women's Super League, so that's the main. What? Let's actually have a look. Who are the top 4 currently in the men's league? It's going to be Man United, Man City, Leicester.
Oh God,
they're in the top 4.
I think they
still.
Are. Although they lost the other day, didn't they?
Liverpool, Leicester. So the top 4 is Man United in the men's league is Man City, Man U, Liverpool, Leicester, and Liverpool and Leicester currently don't have women's team in the Women's Super League.
Okay. Put me out of my misery then, Billy. Who is he?
So in 4th place is should probably guess this, Tom. Famous 4th place team.
Oh, Arsenal.
Arsenal 4th, then Man City, then Man United, and then undefeated at the top of the league are Chelsea, which is quite ironic. So that's the top of the league as it stands. They haven't played this month yet, so hence why it was easy for me to quickly find out who was.
Well, it'll be the same as last time when the girls' sports would have been suspended.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Well, no, they played. They played. I think they played at the end of the month. They played on. I think there was a couple of games at the end of the month last month. So yeah, there has been. Well, Chelsea haven't moved. They're at the top because I think they've only drawn one game and they've won everything else. So yeah, obviously the fortunes of that Chelsea team do a lot better than the one currently in the men's division. So yeah, moving on, Tom. On
Chelsea. How many senior appearances did Lucas Piazon make for Chelsea in his 9 years at the club? So he left. He was Chelsea's longest serving player, and he left this month to go to PSV, was it? Or somebody
Bruges,
like that?
I think it was. Was it Club Bruges?
Oh,
Club Bruges.
Bruges. Okay.
Without looking it up, because I don't want to look it up purely because it'll have his appearances next to it. I know he played for 7, I think it was 7 different teams.
On loan, is he?
On loan. So something about me once, I'm just going to say 7 again. Just.
I think it was definitely less than 10. I think that was the irony of it, wasn't it? It was less than performance per year. So I'm going to go for 9 in the hope that that's right.
Okay.
But I think you could. I don't know if he even played at all.
So the answer is 3, Tom. He made 2 appearances in the League Cup and 1 in the Premier League. Funnily enough, his record in a Chelsea shirt is exceptional. He played in a 6-0 win against Wolves.
Oh, that game, I remember.
And he knocked he played when Chelsea knocked Man United out of the League Cup, which could have been any year, but he also played in the 8-0 hammering of Aston Villa. So when he played for Chelsea, the results were good. So we should have obviously just kept him and shoved him in the first team now, and then we'd have been fine. On a similar note, Tom, before we go on to the next question, have you just seen, we'll probably talk about it more in detail tomorrow. Eden Hazard is injured once again for Real Madrid. And I saw a statistic that he has, for the amount of days since he left Chelsea, I think it's something like 500 days or something like that. He's missed 50% of those out injured. So he spent 50% of the time he's been at Real Madrid on the injury table, on the, what do they call it? Physio's table, not the injury table, physio's table. So
injury table.
Injury list is what I was going from. I merged the two together, which is shocking, really, considering obviously the amount of money that we sold him for. And I think
backside that's weighing him down.
Yeah, and there's something I saw that he'd only missed like 19. I think he was injured for 19 games of his whole Chelsea career, of the whole 7 years he was there. It was something like he'd missed 19 games through illness, maybe sore nose or something along those lines. And now, like you say, he's been on the paella and
on the injury table.
On the injury table. I'm on form tonight. 98th minute stoppage time. And injury table. Go on then, Tom.
Right then. Come on then. Which Premier League team drew the most games in January? So my instinct is to go for Wolves because you know anyway.
Yeah, I know the answer.
Oh gosh. Maybe it won't be us because we've. Or maybe it is.
If you think how many teams, it's about. If you think about 6, there's probably been about 6 Premier League games in the last month.
I think we've drawn 3 of them, which is quite a lot. So drawing 50% of the games, but I think there's probably somebody who's done it more. Southampton says somebody.
I know because we've lost. Chelsea have lost, even though we've had a mixed bag of form. We've lost a lot.
Yeah.
It's not that we've drawn, so I wouldn't have. My initial thought. I know the answer. I think I know the answer. Yeah, I think it's Fulham because I know at one point they'd not lost or won a game. They just drawn. So my guess would have been Fulham based on that because I think they drew like the last game of the of 2020 and then carried it over. They've drawn 3 games and everyone at the next highest was 2. So I think Wolves would have been 2, like you say, and then there was a few others I think on 2 as well. So Fulham, king of the draws, which explains a lot. They're down at the foot of the table, as it were.
Yeah, well, that's been our
savior
because we've lost quite a lot. I think we lost 10 games now this season, where we only lost 9 for the whole of last season.
Wow.
And but we've picked up quite a lot of draws as well. From like we drew against Spurs when we shouldn't really have drawn. Chelsea was a draw that we shouldn't really have got. We won last night. It was just we're not. But the problems that we thought last season, where it was like, if we can just beat the teams who are down the bottom, then that'd be great. We started doing that.
If you could beat the teams below you, you'll be fine. There's not many below you at the minute.
No, that's right.
But there we are. Next one.
Right then. So again, staying on Fulham. It's as if you've planned this. So a footballer's fined by his club after the FA Cup tie between Fulham and QPR. What did he do wrong? Did he do something like shake hands with somebody?
So I've got there's some options. So he hugged a mascot after scoring a goal. Okay, so they've now been told we can't do that. He failed to take the knee before the game.
Okay. He
was caught on camera telling the referee to do one baldy. He watched the match from the stands. I don't know why he would be fined. So I don't know whether I'm guessing on that on that sense, they have to stay within a designated area rather than going off. I don't know the answer to this one. But yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple that I don't think he'd have been booked for not taking the knee unless he was the first. Because I think Millwall,
none of the players who haven't done
haven't. It, but I don't know. Going back to, because the FA Cup tie was at the start. The FA Cup was at the start of January, wasn't it? So whether he was the first player to be, but again, it's fined, not booked or anything like that. He's been fined by his club. So he's been fined by his club. So
I think it'll be the hugging the mascot thing. That was my first thought, was something to do with COVID. So I imagine it'll be that. Oh, excuse me.
The answer, Tom, was the one which we had. We weren't quite sure on, which was he watched the match from the stands. So it was Eze, who now plays for Crystal Palace, was pictured at his former club's match with no mask on without observing social distancing rules.
Right,
so that makes sense now. So wasn't one of the two clubs players. It was someone else's team's player, and he's got see Tom, because
very good.
We're not doing very well. I don't think we've had many right.
No. Which club once went 22 games without a win at the start of a season?
I'm guessing it means from the start of the season. So the question was, the full question was that Sheffield United have finally won a game last month and went 17 matches without a win in the Premier League. That is the longest record in the Premier League era, but not quite the all-time top flight record. So it's going to have to be Division 1. It's obviously there could be teams from lower down, but it's the top flight division, pre-Premier League as well. So that's a massive clue.
You've seen the answer, have you?
No, but that's in the question. It's
okay.
So Sheffield United have the worst ever record in the Premier League. So it's gonna be within pre-Premier League era, going off to the question.
I'll go for somebody like Notts County because they had a terrible. They got relegated the year before the Premier League started, so they could have been okay for the rest of their lives had they stayed in the Premier League for the one last season. So I'll go for Notts County. And Notts County are often the answer to these kinds of questions just because they've been around.
Well, they are one of the options, Tom. The other options were Aston Villa, Bolton Wanderers, and West Ham.
I don't know. I'll go for Notts County just because.
Yeah, I think looking at that, Man City, they're not one of the options, unfortunately, Katie. I know Bolton, they had a tough time, didn't they? But more recently,
last season, wasn't it, where they had to play all the kids and stuff like that for ages.
But again, I'm guessing it's because the question is top. It's a top flight. Is the question, so I'm guessing going off that, we'll know once I click on the answer. But yeah, I'll go Notts County, Tom. It was Bolton.
Oh,
but it was.
You can't do that to me. It was Bolton.
It was Bolton. But it was back in 1902-03, so just before we were born, just a few years. After going throughout with a win for 22 games, they won 8 of the next 11, although they still finished bottom of the table.
No way.
So obviously they appointed, Big Sam, and he tried to get him out of trouble, and failed miserably. I know. Just before we move on, Tom, because we did speak about it on a recent episode of the podcast, you had Sheffield United to go down, and we were talking about whether they beat Derby County's record of the lowest points tally. I think they're on 11 points now. So is that level?
So they've got to lose every single game now to match their record.
But
I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to be.
Well, what I was going to say was Ian Wright. I don't know if you've seen on Match of the Day has said that. I think it was after. And mine even. When did they win? Have they won?
United, didn't they? They beat.
I think it was after the United game. Because I think they won last night as well.
Yeah, they beat the Albion. Yeah.
Yeah. So before it wasn't last match of the day last night. It was after the United game. He boldly predicted that they would stay up. So
I mean, there would be stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So who knows? It will at least eclipse the Albion's greatest escape back in 2005. This would be something special.
Well, obviously Tom's now rooting for Sheffield United for no reasons other than he wants Albion to have another thing taken off them.
Yeah, exactly. There we go then.
How
long did it take for him to get his first red card for Argentina?
There we are. I don't know, Tom. Because this is a very vague question. No, the question is, so Lionel Messi was sent off for Barcelona against Atletico Bilbao at the weekend. It was his it was his first red card in 753 games for the club. Yeah, first ever red card. How long did it take for him to get his first red card for Argentina?
Not long, because he didn't like playing for Argentina, does he?
Yeah, I think it'll be something iconic as well. Something like his first, like he was like the first game he was captain and he got sent off. Obviously, that doesn't give us a number, but something along those lines.
Maybe. I'll go for 15.
I don't know how many games.
He must have played nearly 100 times for Argentina now. He must have done.
Matthew's
Ronaldo's played
a clue. He says he got sent off
his
debut. So I thought, it was iconic.
There you
go. So the options are, Tom. He's never been sent off for Argentina. 50 games, 100 games, or 2 minutes. So going off, if we're going to go with Matthew, we'll go for 2 minutes. Yes, he did. He came off the bench in the 64th minute, only to be sent off in the 66th minute for a perceived elbow.
He really doesn't like playing for Argentina.
And that's why he got sent off for
Barcelona. As well.
I think he elbowed someone.
He gave the people's elbow.
Yeah.
Very good. Right then. Again, you're going to need to give us some more to this one.
Okay.
We did somebody swap shirts with after his final match in the Bundesliga.
So Tom, I'm going to butcher this, so you might have to, just because when your dad watches these, I know he needs the German pronunciation to be spot on. So Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah, pretty good.
Legend, and now this name is going to be very, very difficult. David Abraham. Played his last game for the club this week. The 34-year-old has decided to, last month. 34-year-old has decided to move back to Argentina to be closer to his family. With whom did he swap his shirts after his final match in the Bundesliga?
So you must.
Now, I've seen the multiple choice answers, and I think I should read them out because some of them are quite funny.
Yeah, people are complaining, aren't they? That they can't join in because they don't know the answers. We don't know the options either.
We don't know the options either unless I click on the link to say. So, a couple of the options are: so we swap shirts with the club mascot. I think it's a golden eagle who lives in a nearby zoo. The opposition manager. The TV presenter covering the game, who happens to be his wife, or the referee?
Wow. I don't know.
Neither do I.
I think it'd be nice if he swapped it with his wife.
I think the referee would be quite funny.
And he put on a little blouse to walk off the pitch. That'd be nice. The referee, that'd be a good one. Go for the ref then, Billy. Go on.
Go for the ref. Right, I'm just checking now if anyone else is going to answer, because just in case they want to.
This is like a live lesson, Billy. You just got to plow on, regardless of what the people want.
Yes, it was the referee, Tom.
No way.
Explaining his decision to leave the club and return to Argentina, Abraham said, "I left my hometown." It doesn't say anything about. It just says why he's left. He just wants to be closer to his family during these difficult times.
What a shame. Right, this question is to do with Man United and Liverpool, isn't it?
Yes.
Other than the Premier League. So they played each other in the FA Cup this year. What was the last competition other than the Premier League that they played against each other in? Now, did they play each other in the Europa League in 2017? when Liverpool got to the final of that. Sorry, Man United got to the final, didn't they? Liverpool got to the final.
Man U won it, didn't they?
Man United won it in 2017 against Ajax. But I don't know whether they might have played each other en route to one of those finals.
Yeah, my guess would have been that, because I don't think so. Liverpool obviously won the league last year, and I can't remember other than and they won the Champions League a couple of years before that, but I don't remember them winning the FA Cup.
They haven't won the FA Cup since.
I'm just thinking Community Shield wise.
Right, okay.
But again, that United then haven't won the league, so that I think Community Shield rules that out of the equation.
League Cup, I can't remember any.
League Cup, City have won it. I'm just thinking the final, but again, they could have met along the way in the route. But I think Europa League's not a bad shout, Tom.
Go on then. Is that an option?
It is. The options were Tom, Community Shield, Champions League, Europa League, and the Club World Cup. Well, I don't think it's not the Club World Cup.
No.
So I think it's a European competition. So we'll go with Europa League. And we are right, Tom. It was the 15-16 season, so you were wrong with the year.
Okay. But so it was Liverpool's route to the final then. Okay.
Liverpool won the time, made it to the final competition, which they lost to Sevilla.
Matthew Paul giving me some respect for my Europa League knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, you have you have played on Thursday nights as we.
You don't get to the quarterfinals of the competition without knowing a thing or two about the Europa League, lads.
So from all your YouTube videos through that season is all your facts. Talking about facts.
Exactly. This one, I think I know the answer to this one, or roughly anyway. So the Cheltenham goalkeeper scored a goal, didn't he?
Yes, Tom.
In the, I think it was just a regular league game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the FA Cup game. And I have seen it. It's now a Guinness world record for the goal furthest from the goal. So it's the whole length of the pitch, basically, but perhaps a little bit further than the previous one, because it happens fairly regularly. Yeah, so it's around about 100 meters, but I think it might be slightly. Somebody's pointed out. They said lads plural. If you watch back the tape, I said Europa League, and I mentioned all the different finals that Liverpool and Man United got to. So it was me. Okay. I'm going to say I think it's about 109 meters. What do you reckon?
Well, the options are 9 millimeters.
Oh wow.
3.1 centimeters, 75.45 meters, or 96.01. So going off what you've said, I'm guessing it's the furthest one, which it is. Yeah. Which is 105 yards. So you might be thinking in terms of yards, Tom, because I know
probably. I always think
that's a metric to use the measurement that you use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I'm just getting the next question loaded up, ready.
Yeah, because I was going to say this is another one that we'll need explaining. What did he say to the fourth official that led to the red card? Okay,
so Dean Smith was sent off during Aston Villa's defeat to Man City. According to the Villa manager, what did he say to the fourth official that led to the red card?
He asked him if he had something for Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with juggling.
Yeah, I think he said, "Did you get juggling balls for Christmas?" Because you're a clown, is what he was implying.
I'll have a look to see if it's so. These are good. So these are what, according to the Villa manager, what did he say to the fourth official? So did he say, Tom, did you go for an eye test at Barnard Castle? You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Or did you get juggling balls for Christmas? So I think, unfortunately, I think it's the juggling balls.
The weakest one of all.
Yeah. So they were good. They were. I think we'd have got that because you obviously said Christmas, and I said I remember it being about juggling balls because I remember this meme going around about these juggling balls.
Yeah. The have you seen the clip of Sean Dyche this morning, by the way?
Yeah, about it. What do they call the looky likeys?
Somebody said, "Has anybody ever told you look like Mick Hucknall from Simply Red?" He goes, "Yeah, and the people say I look like Chris Evans as well." and then he spends about 5 minutes talking about playing the looky likey game on on holiday and stuff. He said, "This is what things that you should be asking managers things like this." I'm like, oh, come on, gosh. Nobody wants to know if I'm playing 4-4-2.
The answer is always yes. He's playing 4-4-2. It's like what's his name? Mike Bassett.
4-4-2.
On the back of when he writes the team sheet out on the back of a cigarette pack, and they get those whatever the name of the cigarette brand is. They call up these two.
Yeah. They did.
Well, they were on the team sheet. Go on then, Tom. What's the next one?
Which country did she represent?
Oh God, right. So I think it's Haiger Risa has been appointed caretaker manager of England's women's team after Phil Neville resigned to join Inter Miami. Risa has had an incredible career as a player, winning the Olympics, World Cup, and European Championships. Which country did she represent?
Well,
I haven't looked at the countries now. Go on.
Risa, as in John Arne Risa, was Norwegian, I believe.
That would have been my guess straight away.
It's definitely a Scandinavian name. I'll go with Norwegian.
Okay, I'll see if it's in the options. So we've got USA, Sweden, Norway, or Denmark. Now, quite a few of those are Scandinavian.
Yeah, and do you know what? It could well be American as well.
Yeah, but I would have gone with Norwegian. So I will click the to see. We are right, Tom. Made her debut in 1990, retired in 2004 with 188 caps and 58 goals. So a fairly well, and all those medals to boot as well.
Somebody just said about Inter Miami as a football team name infuriates me because it doesn't. I assume he means it doesn't work.
Yeah. Every time I hear of it, I think of Only Fools and Horses.
Why?
Because they go to Miami.
Oh, and they go to Miami.
I'm trying to think. I think the name of the I'm sure the name of the episode is something like that.
Yeah, isn't it?
Oh, it's Miami Twice. I think is the
it's in Miami Vice. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was. So yeah, but yeah, it's not the greatest name. But next question, Tom. I think we've only got a few left now.
Complete her sentence. So what was the?
So we've gone from. I did line these up pretty nicely, Tom, because I've gone from one Neville to another. So Australian politician Lisa Neville offered some advice to tennis players who are playing who are preparing to play in the Australian Open in Melbourne, which is happening this month. But last month, she said a sentence, and I want you to finish it. I'd encourage them to minimise interaction with what, Thomas?
So I can't believe that this hasn't. That this has been allowed to happen again. This was something that happened back in June and July when things started to reopen. I think it was in a tennis club, and the head of the tennis, I don't know, sort of amateur tennis organization over in America said that people must look after their own balls, and they must, not mess with anybody else's balls. They shouldn't, if they wanted to, the side of the court, they'd have to kick them across. So I imagine that it must be to minimize interaction with their balls.
Now, I know the answer to this, Tom, because it was going to appear on Believe It or Not.
Oh.
So I'm gonna tell you that balls isn't the answer.
No way.
And I'm going to give you the
garden path.
And the options are hotel staff, social media, mice, or the outside world.
Oh, it's got to be the outside world, isn't it?
I think it's mice.
Mice?
Yeah. So, yeah, if I remember, so it says the players are staying in a hotel in Melbourne and it's dealing with an infestation of mice. So I think it was nothing to do with COVID or anything like that. It's just minimize, so stop feeding them. They're trying to get pest control in and get the problem sorted. But yeah, it was it was mice, because that's again, hence why I was going to put it on Believe It or Not, because I thought, there's no way Tom will believe this.
Insane.
But yeah, there we are. I think we've only got two left now.
We've got two left. This one's an interesting one. What else did they get wrong?
That should have been
so
the
we
last.
could just screenshot this now with us two here and that underneath, and us looking.
That's going to be the thumbnable. Because I keep doing this. I keep moving this way because I keep thinking I need to because the bloody camera's playing. So Roma had a night to forget in the Coppa Italia last month. They had 2 men sent off in 2 minutes in their 4-2 defeat to, I think it's Spezia. Spezia. What else did they get wrong? So looking at going off last night, it's either they lost 9-0 or lost to Wolves. Going on those things. There are a few options, Tom. Would you like me to?
You're gonna have to give us the options, Billy. Yeah.
Yeah. So they turned up in the wrong kit and had to play in Spezia's.
That was my first thought.
They thought kickoff was at 8 p.m. rather than at 6 o'clock, which would be 1800. So turned up 2 hours late. They allowed 1,000 fans into the ground, but Italy's lockdown rules changed mid-game and they had to escort the supporters out of the ground at half-time. And they made 6 substitutions when the laws do not permit 6 substitutions. Quite a few.
Well, the first one is a very 90s problem. Happened a few times with teams. The fans being escorted out of the stadium, the rules can't have changed that quickly within 45 minutes.
Wait, if it is that one, I am gutted that I haven't included this in Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic.
It would have been.
For one of them.
What's the second one? They turned up 2 hours late.
Yeah, so the way the questions worded is, they thought, so obviously 6 o'clock on a 24-hour clock is 18. Yeah, 00, and they thought it was that time is where, but they thought it was 8 o'clock because when they looked at it, but it was actually 6 o'clock, so they turned up 2 hours late. That would to me suggest that they would, that they would have just forfeited. Surely they'd have realised before then.
Unless they were ringing the coach driver and he said, "No, we're nearly here. We're nearly here." There's a Wolves, a very sort of amateurish. Wolves fan supporter group that put on a coach once. Wolves were playing in Middlesbrough, and it was the game when Wolves had Wolves had 2 players sent off. Wolves were 2-0 up, and we were hanging on desperately. It was when we got promoted a few years ago, and this coach driver pulled up to the ground a couple of hours before kickoff. Lovely, but unfortunately the ground was turf moor. And they were on the other side of the Pennines. They were completely the wrong direction. They needed to get to Middlesbrough in 2 hours from Burnley, which is pretty tight going. Yeah, so they missed most of the game, unfortunately. C was the lockdown?
C was the fans. Yeah, C was the fans. So A was the kit. B was the wrong kickoff time. C was the fans, and D was they made more substitutes than they were allowed to.
Well, I hope it's C.
I'm hoping it's C. I'm going for C purely because it's brilliant. No, it's the boring. They made too many substitutes.
I knew it would be that one. I knew it would be
boring. Anyway, we'll finish with the last one because I put this one last purely because it's linked to Believe It or Not as the regular feature because it's about the news. So the question is actually on the screen. That is the question. Victor Lindelof made national news back home in Sweden, but for a non-sport related story. What was it?
I do vaguely remember hearing about this, but I can't remember any details of it at all. Funny story about me and Victor Lindelof. When we first played Man United on this return to the Premier League, we had exclusive access to the Players' Lounge after the game, and we came out of the ground through the tunnel. So that at Old Trafford when they show the players, there's those big red gates at the very back of the tunnel. To the left of that, as you look at it, is this staircase that goes up to like the changing rooms into the Players' Lounge and stuff like that. And we were coming down, and Lindelof was bending over having a photograph, and I had somewhere to park my bike, Billy. So I'm going to go for Victor Lindelof being an underwear model or something along that kind of line, because that's when I think of Victor Lindelof, I think of him bending over, showing his crack.
That's not one of the options, Tom, and neither is it was his birthday, which, granted, that probably he would have made national. So the news headlines were, well, they're not headlines. He married
Volvo.
They married the King of Sweden's daughter and became a Grand Duke. He helped bring a thief to justice. He was elected to be mayor of his hometown, even though he did not campaign nor live there. Well, currently, obviously. He played bass guitar on the track that has been chosen as Sweden's entry for the Eurovision Song Contest this year. Now, he bought a Volvo. That is the correct answer. I have no idea, Tom.
No, I don't know either, but I think it's probably... I'm just going for the ones that are boring now, because that tends to be the answer. So it's...
Which is the most boring one of those, then? He married a princess.
No, I think it's...
thief to justice. He was elected mayor. Which one?
I think it's the bringing the thief to justice. I think it's that one.
Yeah. D. All of them were brilliant answers, says Matthew. I think the best answers were Dean Smith's. I think that's the best question.
Yeah.
Right, we'll go with the thief then. Yes, Tom. Unfortunately, you were right. The United defender chased down a man who had stolen a handbag from Lindelof's 90-year-old great, 90-year-old aunt. The thief was sentenced and fined £440. He ran, a quote, Tom, he ran over footbridges and walls. It seemed like he had a fantastic strength and form.
Very good.
I hope that was, enjoyable. Especially some of the funnier ones. Well, if people feel like us to do it again, or if you've got any suggestions, I know, they were multiple choice, but we did try our best not to. Well, we didn't look at the answers until we were stuck, and I read them out. And if anyone has any suggestions of how they would like the format to change or anything like that, or if they'd like it more regularly, please let Tom do it, because he can take over control of that as well as the poll. So yeah, just as Brom's given us an update, Man City are 31 up over the last 5 games versus Burnley. Yes, correct. Man City are now winning 2-0, as are Leicester. So there's your halftime updates, Jeff.
Lovely. Cheers, Jeff.
It's all right. So anything else, Tom, you want to plug before we go?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming these people who are currently watching are already subscribed to my YouTube channel, but if you're not, for goodness sake, subscribe and tell all your friends.
Yes.
And then listen to our podcast on
whatever platform
wherever you get podcasts. Yeah, Absolute Scenes.
Yeah. Are you still uploading them here or not? Have I now been demoted again?
If I remember.
Yeah. If I remember to. The last time we obviously did this, we forgot to record I say we, the royal we, Tom, forgot to record my audio because he didn't invite me to the meeting, and I didn't realise. So there we are then.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, Billy. Yeah, we all make mistakes.
Fantastic.
Right, there we go then.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody. Look after yourselves. Wash your hands. See